Hello, and welcome to our session on how to be a well-rounded applicant. My name is Dr. Johanna Massey. I'm the manager of college readiness for Summit Public Schools, and I've actually done some research on the college choice process among Silicon Valley high school students, so I'm very excited to have the opportunity to talk to you about this important topic today. But first, let's start with well-rounded. What does it mean to be well-rounded? I'm sure you've heard it a lot when you talk about college admissions. So here we have a definition for a person. It says the first one we see is plump, which, okay, yes, but not necessarily what we mean when we're talking about college applications. But if you go down a little, you'll see having a personality that is fully developed in all aspects. And that's closer to what we mean when we're talking about like what well-rounded means, to have multiple dimensions and to be, have full engagement in all of them or as many as possible. And if you look at the part about the sentence, it says carefully composed and balanced. And that is something we would really like you to take away from this presentation about what it means to be well-rounded. Yes, it's having interests and talents in multiple areas, but it's also about being balanced. So here's a quote from William Fitzsimmons, who's the former Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid at Harvard University, and he said, "We think of everyone we admit as a good all-rounder, a person with outstanding academic, extracurricular, and personal credentials." So we can take away from this what Harvard is saying, that we're looking for people that have great academics, how they use their time well, and that they have good character. So those are three dimensions that we can consider, okay, this is what it takes to be well-rounded. Now, that can seem like a high bar to pass when you think, oh my gosh, I need to think about how I'm going to be great in all these different areas. And again, we don't want you to take away from this presentation that you need to be amazing at everything. You don't have to run out and join every organization or every sports team that crosses your path. This can lead to burnout and, in fact, actual mental health problems. So it's important to be, again, balanced when you think about, okay, what do I really want to do? What's going to help me achieve being well-rounded while actually, going through high school and having a good time and maintaining my sanity. So what do colleges really want? They really want to see passion and focus skills. On your application, they want to be able to understand who you are as a person, and secondly, what you will bring to that college campus. Many of these schools use hundreds or and even thousands of applications. So what makes you special? What are you going to contribute to the community? Now, it is absolutely true that grades are the most important part of your college application. And historically, test scores have also been important, but that's definitely been in flux in the past couple of years or lately. So not sure where that's going to land. So think about the things you can have control over, your grades, and in fact, the extra qualities, these qualities that make you well-rounded, for example, like your activities and, again, your character, who you are. So this idea of quality versus quantity, and I do feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's just really important to understand that colleges want to see that you've done a few things well than many things kind of mediocrely. So generally speaking, being well-rounded means balancing a few finely honed activities in multiple dimensions of your lives. So you heard this idea about depth over breadth. I think maybe many years ago, people had the idea that breadth means dabbling, and that's very attractive. But things have changed, and now colleges are looking to see, where have you really excelled? Where have you made a mark in a topic or an area or a passion where you can say, okay, this is what makes me special, and this is what I'm going to bring to your school. So you will see on some applications, we'll talk about them, that you might have the opportunity to list maybe 10 things that you've done for activities in high schools. But just because you have the opportunity to list 10 activities doesn't mean that you should do that. It says more about you if you can focus on the few activities that talk about your passions, your interests, and your character. That will give college application readers a sense when they walk away from you reading your application. Okay, I know who this person is. They care about X, Y, and Z. Colleges are looking for commitment, follow through, and growth overall. So, for example, when you're thinking about your activities, if you volunteered at a senior center all summer, that's a great example of a sustained activity. If you've done it for multiple summers, even better. On the other hand, if you volunteered one time at a food bank, that doesn't actually say that much about you, or what it doesn't say much about your character. It's hard to understand, okay, what did this student take away from that experience? That's not to say that could never be the case, but it's harder to make that kind of an argument. So some other examples could be working at an after-school job for 3 years. This shows commitment, and again, it shows a sustained interest. Working as a teacher's assistant shows leadership, and it shows the opportunity to be a role model for younger students. Research in higher education has shown, as well as I've learned from some of my own experience in working and doing work with college admissions, that admissions officers love to see the Girl Scout Gold Award or the Eagle Scout Award, because they demonstrate leadership and interest that is sustained over many years, and to have the drive to put together a project and to work with your community. These are all things that colleges love to see. So when you think about your applications, there were two main sections where you can show how you are well-rounded outside of your grades. And those will be the activity sections and your essays. Now, this can be difficult for some of us, but this is not a time to be shy. You want to be really explicit about who you are, what you've done, what kind of leadership you've demonstrated. The UC application will ask you straight out if you won any awards. So take advantage of presenting yourself in the best light possible. So now we're going to look a little bit about, this is the Common App. This is the example of what the activities section actually looks like. Now, as I said before, the Common App is the most widely used application for many colleges across the country and the world. And it gives you 10 spots where you can list activities. And I'm going to strongly suggest that you don't do that. Ask yourself, what are the 3 or 4 activities that have been the most meaningful for you? What have had the most impact on you? What has helped you become the person you are today? What has had the most impact on people around you? What can show you, so readers, like, okay, this is what I'm going to bring to the school. Again, a few carefully selected activities that present a whole picture of who you are going to say much more than about, I did 6 months here, or I did a little bit there. We want to see, like, okay, who are you? What makes you tick? You'll also have, there is a word limit, so you'll need to be very careful about how you present yourself. Once again, use your language carefully, and remember, this is a good time to brag. Outside of the activity section, the essays are probably the best place for you to show how you are well-rounded. There are many different essays out there. We'll talk about some of the main ones, but overall, the essays prompts will fall into some rough buckets of topic areas that colleges will give you the opportunity to write about. So the trick is to think about how you can best present yourself and then match the essay prompts to those aspects of yourself that you want to highlight. So you'll want to parse each prompt very carefully to find out what are they asking you and think, okay, does this fit one of the ways I want to highlight that I'm well-rounded? So here's the Common App prompts. We're not going to go through every essay and every essay prompt, but just to give an example, the first one here says, some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful, they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. So what are they asking here? They're giving you the opportunity to identify your some background, some personal history, maybe a social identity, maybe an interest or a talent, one of these four, that have made you who you are. I mean, they actually say your story would be incomplete without it. So think about, okay, what story can I tell about myself that says something about me? I think about, okay, what identity do I bring to the table that has just been so critical to who I am? How can I shape that into a narrative that'll catch people's attention and say, okay, here I am, this is me. Then we can look at some of the other prompts and we can see how they also present opportunities to present different facets of yourself. So number 2, they're asking you for obstacles. What have you learned from obstacles you've encountered? Number 3, when have you questioned or challenged a belief or idea? Number 4, how do you confront problems? How do you deal with problem solving? Number 5 is looking at giving you the opportunity for an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked growth. Number 6, an idea, a concept, or topic that you find so engaging that it just makes time pass. So when you're reflecting on what you want to say about yourself, again, you want to find a match. Okay, which essay prompt will give you the opportunity to say, well, I remember that I found it amazing to learn about rescuing wild animals. And I can just read about rescuing wild animals in all my free time. Where can I write about this? Oh, prompt number 6 is a great opportunity for me to talk about that. And I can just pour my passion into the words here. That's a good essay prompt, a good prompt to answer, and a good way to think about, okay, this is going to be a way to show that I'm well-rounded. Going on, so the coalition app essays, there are not as many of them, but you'll see that there's some similarities between them and the Common App prompts. The first one is talking about an important experience that demonstrates your character. Secondly, a meaningful contribution that has contributed to the greater good. This was very similar, a time when you've had your beliefs challenged. What did you do? What is the hardest part of being a student now? With the Common App essay of your choice. That one's a tricky one. Again, the Common App has it as well. It can be a risk. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the essay of your choice, especially if you really feel like you have something that hasn't been covered by the other topics. But think about ways that your experiences do fit the prompts, and you might find it easier when you're actually going through and trying to work through your essay, just sideways. The UC personal insight question, they tend to be pretty specific about what they're looking for. So they tell you outright pretty much in the prompt. So the first one, they're interested in leadership. Second one, creativity. The third one is a talent, looking at a talent or a skill. The fourth one is about taking advantage of an educational opportunity or overcoming a barrier. The fifth one is about overcoming a challenge. The sixth one is about your academic passion. The seventh one is about how you made your school community a better place. And the eighth one is, again, that sort of more generic, like what would you like to say about yourself that has not been said already? So the kind of the terms that I've been describing as I've gone through each of these essays, those are the hooks. So leadership is a hook, creativity is a hook, talent is a hook. What are the hooks? What combination of these hooks can you answer when you're writing your essays that will give you the opportunity to present your fullest sense of self? the most well-rounded picture of yourself. That's how you'll just decide what essays you should answer and how they can best make a good portrait of yourself. The CSU applications are a little different. There's no required CSU essays, except for if you're applying for the Educational Opportunity Program, EOP. These prompts tend to focus more on your background and what you'd like to accomplish as well. And you don't have choices, you do have to answer them all. So again, this is a great place to be really upfront about what you've accomplished and where you're going. Be very honest, and your story will speak for itself. So here, just pause, take a minute and think, what are some ways to show college admissions that I am a well-rounded student? So think when you're answering this, what are your strengths, your interests, and your talents? What are you passionate about? I keep using the word passion, and it's because, like, in my research, I found it is so important. Like, that's what sets you off from all the other applicants. What are you passionate about? What experiences have encouraged your growth? So ways that you can both cultivate being well-rounded as well as to demonstrate that you are well-rounded. The summer is a great opportunity to delve into interests, to explore them. I have some examples here. And again, that does not mean you need to do all of them. Summer is also a time to regroup and recuperate and enjoy life. So be selective and thoughtful about what decisions you make about how you spend your time, as long as you do spend your time productively. So one way is volunteer work. There are many local opportunities where you can contribute to your community, or, given what else might be going on in the world, virtual opportunities. You could volunteer at a food bank, work at an animal shelter. If it's earlier in high school and you can find an opportunity that maybe you can pursue also during the school year or during multiple summers, that's even better. That shows a sustained interest. And then again, in many ways, that can say more about you than if you were to do, say, like a 1-week international immersion program, where maybe you are not able to leverage that so much into a character building argument, for example. Another way you can spend your summer is academic enrichment. You could take a community college course or participate in an academic preparation program. These can be ways to explore subjects you might not have been exposed to in high school yet, that it could pique possible career choices, or just something that you might want to pursue in college. And at the very least, especially at the community college, it demonstrates that you are ready for college level work. Colleges love that. Internships. These can be great, especially later in high school when you're building on the areas where you've demonstrated interest and demonstrated passion already. Like, for example, if you find that you like biology, an internship could be a great opportunity to explore working in a lab or maybe working in a medical setting, and also gives you the opportunity to start building your professional network. During the school year, extracurriculars like sports and clubs are great ways to spend your time, to learn more about yourself and to demonstrate leadership. You could join a sports team. You could start your own sports club if it doesn't exist. Summit has many different opportunities to participate in clubs, but again, if there's something you think that they'd be interested in and it doesn't exist, start it yourself. So I would say the sooner the better. Like in middle school and early high school, excuse me, take the opportunity to cast a wide net and try a lot of different activities, things that have maybe sparked your interest before, but you have not pursued. You never know what you might find, like, oh yeah, this is what really excites me. And then later in high school, that's when you can narrow down your activities, start pursuing more leadership opportunities, perhaps doing internships that build and show sustained growth and interest over time. I will say that in my research, I found that students who had honed in on their passions earlier in high school were better able to identify colleges where they would be a good fit, as well as to present themselves authentically in their applications and do, frankly, well in their college application process because they had confidence saying, okay, this is who I am, this is what I bring to your school. I do want to mention also here that family responsibilities and work experience are critical parts of being well rounded as well. So if you are spending your time taking care of parents or grandparents or siblings, or if you are holding down a job, colleges want to know. These absolutely count as ways that you can show that you are well rounded. A while ago, I was at a webinar that was given by the Brown Dean of Admissions. He's not the Dean of Admissions anymore, but he was then. And one of the things I remember him saying was like, we would love to see more examples of students who've had experiences holding down jobs. So this might seem like something that's very mundane to you, but it actually says a lot about your character and it shows like what you can bring to the college campus. And admissions officers want to know that. So that is our presentation on how to be a well-rounded applicant. Thank you very much. I hope you learned a lot, or at least something. You can go to our website, college.summitps.org, where we have more information on the college application process, or you can also email us at collegereadiness@summitps.org. Thank you.